you so much for taking time out of your day. You're a wife, a dog mom, pro MMA fighter. It's such an honor to be able to have you on the show. Thank you again. You made your Bellator debut back in January where you won via submission over Ava Knight in just over 2 minutes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How'd it feel to get that win on the big show?
It's such a big process. I mean, not only was I fighting, my husband was also fighting the same night.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of overwhelming, to be honest. But I enjoyed it, and I am eternally grateful to my teammates, to my coaches, and to everyone who's helped me in this process. So like I said before, it's MMA, you go into the cage alone, but you definitely don't get to the cage by yourself. So in that aspect, it's a team sport, and so I appreciate all my teammates.
Yeah, and you and your husband have fought on the same card a few times now. What did it mean for him to be there at your Bellator debut and be fighting on the same card with you?
It meant the world. He is my number one supporter. So in the past, we've had it's a learning process where I've had him in my corners, I've not had him in my corners. So just to have him as a fighter on the same card, since we had already kind of done that before, it kind of alleviated some of it. But we were kind of jawing back and forth at each other ahead of time because there was a little bit of confusion as to who was going to fight first.
Oh, okay.
And I like to fight first because then I get to go in there, do my job, and then I can focus on him. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think he had to bear the burden of going through the emotional roller coaster, watching me fight, and then trying to fight himself. So I was kind of grateful that I got to go first.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tapology shows that you had your first amateur fight back in 2016. Is that correct?
Yes. Okay. So depending on what website you look at, I have actually fought under 3 different last names. So, but that was 2016. That was me.
That's awesome. How did you get into this whole MMA thing, and what made you decide to ultimately start competing?
Well, I started doing Taekwondo and Judo when I was about 6 years old. Okay. I had a node removed from my arm, and at that point in time, they said I would either need physical therapy or I could do a sport that required me to move my arm. And I'd already gotten kicked out of dance class. I was a little bit of a tomboy. Don't have any rhythm. Don't ever ask me to dance.
Sure.
So my brother wanted to try karate, so my parents were like, here, go try doing this with your brother. And then I fell in love, and I was just that weird kid that never stopped. So led me here.
Right. Gosh, that's awesome. What did your parents think when you're like, I'm going to go fight MMA and go jump in a cage?
Well, I don't really know, to be honest. They came to my amateur debut, and I just remember finding my dad in the crowd. He always wears this big Indiana Jones hat, so he was easy to find him in the crowd, give him the biggest hug, and he just hugs me so tight and he says, "You're not done with this, are you?" I was like, "No, I love it," because I just saw how much joy it brought to me. And so I eventually, to answer your first question, I started competing in MMA when I was in nursing school. I just realized that was the first time I didn't do any martial arts, and I was like, man, there's this big void in my life. What am I missing? Mm-hmm. And so that first summer home from nursing school that I found Knoxville Martial Arts Academy. Yeah. I was like, well, I want to compete again. I just want to learn. I enjoy the process of just, gaining more knowledge. And it wasn't until after I graduated nursing school that coach was like, you should really try competing. You're really good at this. And so that's history.
Okay. Come on. Now, when you started your pro career, you went 0-3, but now you're on a 4-fight win streak with 3 of those 4 wins ending in finishes. What changed mentally and in your training after that third loss there?
Man, so much. So much has changed. It went from, like I said, Jason was in my corner for 2 of my first 3 fights. And so then at that point, I kind of realized, maybe having Jason just a little bit removed from the corner, I think that did play a little bit of a role. I'm not going to say that was a whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah.
But just having the person who loves you the most a little bit further away from the cage is helpful, just because he's the only one that I really just don't want to disappoint. Not that he ever would be disappointed in me, but in your head, the things that you hear. And then just, I completely changed my life. 2016, or the year I made my pro debut, I had quit my job as a nurse. I had gotten divorced, and I had just I put all my eggs in this basket. Yeah. And so I think following my pro debut, there was that transition period of just trying to collect all these like loose ends and these loose pieces. But now I'm in a much more stable place and a good mindset, and I have surrounded by teammates who love me and push me, and I couldn't ask for any better people in my life. So
that's
I think
awesome.
that's a large role. Yeah.
Does Jason also train at Knoxville MMA?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We met there. He was just a mentor for me for a really, really long time, and then as of recent years, it turned into a relationship. But
Yeah.
so I always told Coach Eric, I want to be able to strike like Jason. Now, not that I can yet, but well, that's a goal to aspire to.
Yeah. I've had a few couples on my show that both people in the relationship were like fighters. How do you guys separate that personal relationship and the professional relationship when you get in the gym and you have to train and start throwing punches and sparring?
I don't think it ever does separate, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
Now, he gives me a hard time. He doesn't take it easy on me. Actually, I think it's the opposite. I think he's actually harder than probably anybody else because he expects more of me, and
Sure.
he knows what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
So he pushes buttons and stuff. But as far as like when we come home, do we ever stop talking about the gym? No. I mean, it's just our life. And I think that's the beauty of having someone who is so committed, just like I am, and is on the same path. It makes it a really beautiful experience when you get to do it together.
Yeah, absolutely. What's that backstage process look like for you? Do you ever get nervous or have fear come over you at all?
Absolutely. I think if you don't get nervous and you don't have fear, that's kind of like a warning sign for me. Like, hey, because you want your body anatomically, you have to get ready to go do the thing.
Yeah.
What's the difference between excitement and nervousness? It's just your perspective. So like you get the same biological response right before you go on a roller coaster. Your heart rate goes up, your adrenaline goes up, but it's something fun. So that's your perspective. Or the first time you go on a date, that's also that same response, but it's just your perspective and your mindset about it. So we do a lot of mental skills training at our gym. And reading lots of books and having the right mindset going into it helps you to use that as fuel to do what you want to do and perform the way that we train in the cage.
That's awesome. When can us fans expect to see you back in the cage?
Hopefully very soon.
Okay.
Have something right around the corner. Can't say anything just yet.
Yeah.
But it'll be very exciting, and I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome.
So as soon as Coach gives me the go ahead, I'm ready to go.
Okay, sweet. Well, I wanted to transition to some fun questions real quick, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So I have these things, they're called pod decks. They're essentially questions for us podcasters, really random. Some of them are really cool. Some of them are flops. So I'll just grab one randomly and pull one out and see how it goes here. What's something I would never guess about you, or maybe just the general public would never guess about you?
I love to bake.
Oh, nice. Okay. Very cool.
I make hands down the best chocolate chip cookies you'll ever have in your whole life.
That's awesome. I love it. And obviously during weight training or cutting weight, you have to back off of that. Jason can't eat them either, right?
Well, no, he can't. But this is what I do, and it's probably not healthy. But like, I will still make them, but I give them to other people, and I watch them eat them.
Okay.
Like here's a present. I can't have them. You should eat them. Let me watch you eat them. That's creepy.
Awesome. That's great. Always an interesting question to ask fighters, but who is the one person that has hit you in training or in a fight that was like, you were like, man, that was like the hardest hit I've ever been hit on?
Oh my goodness. In the gym, I mean, okay, so Knoxville Martial Arts Academy, we have like over 90% of the entire Southeast region's like women.
Okay.
Professional fighters and amateur fighters. So just women, like, oh my goodness. Like, you wouldn't think that girls could hit that hard, but like Olivia Parker, Morgan Hickam, Christina Ricker, I mean, all those girls pack a punch, and I train with them on the daily.
Okay.
So as far as like partners go, I've had a lot. So that's hard to say.
Yeah.
In the fights, in an actual fight though, I think it was my first professional win. It would have to go to Ashley Samples.
Okay.
I didn't move my head at all, and I had zero head movement, and Ashley Samples capitalized on that, and I don't think my right eye has ever hurt so bad.
Oh my
so
gosh.
it caused it's probably the fastest finish, and I'm really glad because I don't know how much longer I could have taken any more of those punches. So quickly got a takedown and got a heel out of it. but girl hits hard.
That's
hard.
awesome. Last question for you. Who should Cyborg fight next?
Oh, I think she can fight whoever she wants. I don't know. She's kind of, got all the titles, so I think the ball's in her court.
Yeah,
so
pretty much. Awesome. Well, Emilee, I also wanted to give you an opportunity just to give a shout out to sponsors, coaches, teammates, family, anything like that. The camera's all yours.
Oh, I have so many sponsors that sponsored me for the last fight, so I'm not going to give everyone time with that. You check out my Instagram. There's a ton of them, but the big ones are obviously Knoxville Martial Arts Academy, Frankie's Body Shop, and Tailor Made Fitness. That's where I do most of my training and strength and conditioning and everything like that. But I have huge supporters here locally, and I love all of them and appreciate all of them very, very, very much.
That's awesome. Well, it's been such an honor to talk to you today. I'm excited to see you step back in the cage, continue that win streak, and continue to be just kicking ass and being a warrior in the cage. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for hanging around. Really appreciate it. If you'd like to see more videos from Top Rated MMA and the Bearded Biz Show, please click the playlist and also hit subscribe to our channel. Become part of the Top Rated MMA and Bearded Biz community. We would really appreciate your support. Also, please leave a comment below. I will read and respond to all of them. Thank you so much. Have an awesome day.